With the year coming to an end, and the channel lacking content for the past few months, I thought I would end 2024 by drawing attention to a comparison that's crossed my mind before, but came to the forefront with the release of new movies that fans of each franchise have quickly come to love. As for what these reimaginings have in common, the first film sees our titular characters come to Earth after their homes were effectively destroyed. They acquire the help of a human in order to retrieve a specific item while trying to avoid being detected by an antagonistic government-funded operation. The second film has our alien leads take a more active role in protecting people after deciding to make Earth their home, with less than stellar results. The return of the first film's antagonist who was presumed dead by the main characters. The new antagonist being directly tied to a feud that dates so far back our heroes don't even seem to be fully aware of it. This leading to a global treasure hunt to find an ancient artifact. Said artifact being a piece of lore from the source material repurposed for the movie's plot. The villains using it for their doomsday weapon only to be quickly stopped when one of our main characters is granted a more powerful form. Finally, there's the third film that reveals the humans and aliens have had a relationship long before the events of the first film. The relationship between the main characters and government becoming worse than it originally was thanks to a newly introduced character attacking the latter. Said character doing so, in part, because they need access to the keys that will help power a different doomsday machine. The initial hero and villain essentially teaming up to take care of the new threat. And the new character's protege turning on him as their goals no longer align with each other. There's even small similarities, like the artifact in both second films falling apart in the lead's hands, only for them to still access its power as it seemed to be a test of character. Both series making the most popular character more comfortable with outright killing their enemies. Even taking items from the first movie, and turning them into guides for where to go for the second movie. Of course there are arguably more details to differentiate them, and I doubt this was a case of one film crew imitating the other. Rather, this seems to just be a general approach Paramount has to both capitalize on and revitalize older franchises. Make a first movie that's more concerned with being appealing to mainstream audience, so the plot is basically a variant on a different popular movie. Then if it gets a sequel add-on to nearly everything people enjoyed about the first movie, while also trying to implement more lore that fans know, even if it's drastically different. Tying that all together given the film mythos that the main characters don't seem to know about, justifying why it wasn't brought up in the first film. Finally, for the third movie escalate once again, even making this the most emotionally tense of the films so far to add more significance to this being the third installment. Also more details about the setting that probably would have been in the first movie if they knew how many sequels they would get. There's also humor in these films that don't directly go against the tone of their source material, considering they could also be deliberately ridiculous, but can come across like the filmmakers don't think people could truly get invested in the story they're telling. Really what ends up separating them as far as the final product is concerned is that the Sonic movie wasn't intended to be a big blockbuster. So it received a smaller budget, the producers weren't as concerned with choosing any well-known director, and even the rating was lower. Leading to a more limited film, but because of those limits didn't risk going overboard in any capacity. The second area that helps separate them is that Sonic films are more concerned with directly building upon previous ideas. For instance, the item that gets repurposed from movie 1 to 2 is a literal map showing some of the different planets. Thanks to movie 2 it has a deeper meaning. With Transformers the item that was used from movie 1 was the All-Spark, which already served as an important plot device in the first film that did something completely different than be a map. So while that technically is still building upon what's set up before, the way it's done can make people question the significance of movie 1's plot, since it's now being established what we saw the All-Spark do wasn't its main function. The result is the Sonic movies being able to rely on each other to build up interest, as fans of them can get themselves excited over how the characters and the setting will develop. Meanwhile, Transformers films mostly succeed or fail on their own individual merits, which depending on the quality of the film can be to its benefit or detriment. Now things have come full circle with Sonic being Paramount's starring franchise, based on an older property, whereas Transformers needs to prove itself to a general audience. Hopefully neither series starts repeating the mistakes of the past.